So this person's on a spiritual awakening, and my family is not on board or supportive. What do you do? How do you stay focused?
So, okay. Oh man, am I really going to say this out loud? So who cares if they're not on board? Really? Are we bound by what people think about us? No. Are we going to have our lives designed because someone else thinks a certain way and we don't? No. We are here to learn how to be ourselves. And that includes saying what's so for us and not requiring approval or agreement. Do you see, that question means I feel like I don't belong. And my heart hurts, and I want to belong. And it actually means what I really want is I want you to agree with me. Because I think you're wrong. So you should agree with me, and then we'll all be happy. Now, this does not mean you have to take abusive conversation. This does not mean you have to be in a situation where you truly feel either attacked or shut down. We don't need, it does mean that we have to learn how to say what our faith teaches us. When statements are made and they are not in alignment with what you understand spiritual truth and how you see spiritual truth to seek to be outpictured in the world, I believe if we are to be a light in the world, it is actually our job to shine that light out. I'm simply a candle in the dark when I do that. I'm simply lighting my candle. My candle does not have to fight with yours. My candle doesn't have to overpower yours. I'm simply lighting my candle. Do you see? And so we have this incessant need for our family's approval. I would let it go. And when there's an opening, I would invite us all to have the courage and strength to step into it. Not combatively, not, oh, let me trade Bible verses with you because I have some that prove my point. But this is what my faith teaches me. My faith teaches me we're all one. My faith teaches me every single person is a child of God. My faith teaches me it's important to look at the patterns. And when we look at our own patterns, we see ways that we're behaving that maybe are not in alignment with what we believe to be spiritually true or who we want to be grown up. And so my spiritual faith teaches me that, it's really important for us to look at our collective hidden beliefs, our collective false ideas about people who are different than us, about black people or immigrant people or Muslims or women or LGBT people. We want to learn to see them and these situations with clear eyes, not clouded by false beliefs and false assumptions and false ideas. Do you see? And so we look at it. We look clearly at it. Just like we want to look at ourselves. We actually want our false ideas and those insidious patterns, we actually want them to arise. We just don't want the embarrassment of looking at them, do we? You know, Karen and I are doing this right now. We are well into our storming phase. It's very much fun because basically what we're doing is we're showing up as all the relationships we've been in the past. right? In all the ways that we've behaved that, is not necessarily so pretty. But we have consciousness, right? We have consciousness where then all of a sudden, we'll go, oh, I think I'm seeking your approval. Oh, right, I forgot that I could ask for what I wanted. Oh, I'm not used to that. Do you see what I'm saying? And our own pattern we become aware of it and we go, oh shit, I didn't really want to act that way, but oh, here I am, okay, right? And it's embarrassing and it's uncomfortable and we don't want to do it, and yet that's how we move through it. And then we say, well, what's the spiritual truth? The spiritual truth is love, the spiritual truth is truthfulness, the spiritual truth is connection, whatever, and I'm going to be causal, so I'm going to not behave according to my pattern. I'm going to be causal and behave according to my spiritual truth. Well, what we do in this family, we're doing in the collective family. It's exactly the same thing. And so we allow those patterns to arise, and we seek to look at them without shame or blame, without shame or blame, but by taking personal responsibility that this pattern is arising in our collective consciousness, that this thought is arising in our collective consciousness. And how do we stand, or that we should stand then, in the place that's actually aligned with our spiritual truth?
Yeah. So I saw a beautiful example of this because we have collectively continued patterns and beliefs, and sometimes we're aware of them or not. But when we become aware, everything changes. And I recently saw, yesterday in fact, a beautiful video of these pastors, Christian pastors, who finally decided that they were holding whatever beliefs they had of homosexuals, LGBT people, based upon what they heard their pastor say from all the years when they were young and what they, learned in divinity school. It didn't matter where, but each of them were telling their stories of how they had just taken on the patterns, taken on the beliefs, and believed them, and were perpetuating that in their ministry for however long. And yet for each of them, there became a moment where they said, well, why don't I check out my now belief, my belief, and discern? And everything shifted for them, and they're like, oh my gosh, this isn't true. The spiritual truth is not this. And they moved from that place. And so in any place within humanity, when we discover that, consciously or not, we have picked up a pattern and are perpetuating it, when we come to that place of doing our own personal work, we don't take that into humanity anymore.
And you see, and Karen and I actually talked about that, and we said, it might be that those pastors were interested in doing that research because, well, they met an LGBT person. They had them in their family or in their congregation. They heard about it on the news. They saw people. Somebody was willing to speak to them or show themselves, not in a, you're wrong, I'm going to beat you over the head with it, but here I am. Here's my light. Here's my truth. Here's who I am. And the invitation is then to, the hope is that there's an awakening, right? And in these three pastors, there's an awakening. And so even in our families where we feel so challenged, it's not about getting into the argument with them, but it is about shining our light, being who we are, and allowing that to speak and to make an invitation to explore these underlying patterns.